Hello and welcome back to TwoCandid. We've been gone a little while.
A long while. It's been a long while.
It has been a very long while, and that is mainly because our dad died and Sophie had a baby in the same week. So our life has been very stressful, but we're now in a whole new location, courtesy of moi. And we are actually doing handheld mics now, which makes me feel like a singer.
Because we ordered the wrong mic stands.
Sophie, we don't need the details.
Technicalities. But yeah, wasn't just stressful, traumatic. But now, like, we did try and film one, like, 6 weeks ago. And just everything went wrong. And we were like, no, this isn't us. We don't feel like we're ready. We wanted to be consistent. And we just knew that if we started then, we'd be stopping again. So now I feel like we're in a good place. We're in a new location. We've got the new setup. Hopefully it don't go wrong. Hopefully we'll be uploading next week.
So we're gonna be so consistent. So you just subscribe.
you just. I think we're going just wait, but we're going for subscribe, like, share, please.
Let's not beg you out, Soph. But basically, as per usual, Sophie's done all the research into this episode. We're gonna do a
Classic, am I the asshole?
So Sophie's going to read me stories, and I actually haven't heard them because I literally, like, my present is my presence, okay?
No, Leah. Oh, wait, yeah.
We have different strengths. My strength is that I'm a talker, and I'm not embarrassed, and I'll just say what I want. And Sophie's very organised.
Thanks, Leah. Talk about backhanded fucking compliment there.
It's fine.
Sophie's not made for anything other than organising my life, I think is what she's saying. Like, I did your doctor's appointment earlier on.
Okay, I've got a mole and I'm not sure if it's changed or not. So Sophie's taken a picture of it and we've sent it to the doctors. So if anyone has a mole, send it to the doctors.
True that. Anyway, let's just jump right in with the am I the arsehole? Be honest. At the end we need a verdict. Everyone sucks. Arsehole, not the arsehole.
Okay.
Am I the arsehole for being angry that my fiance is texting other women? All texts have different variations of what he'd like to do to them. According to him, he sees nothing wrong with it because he's never followed through. Please tell me if I'm wrong or overreacting.
She's obviously not overreacting because, let's face it, when you're a girl, you don't want your guy interested in any other girl, okay? You just don't. It's just basic human
instinct.
Yeah. But the thing is like, I actually find it really interesting to get perspectives from guys and like how they think, their process. And guys are very different to girls because guys are very visual. And to be honest, like, he might be talking to another girl, but he probably don't want to be with that girl. It's like a fantasy situation. But then again, if he's not cleared it with his fiance, then it's wrong. But if she was okay with it, but she wouldn't ever be okay with it. But
or she wouldn't be writing this post. It's all about boundaries, isn't it? Like, if they're in an open relationship, then fair play, go off. But they clearly ain't because she's writing this post. It's manipulation, it's gaslighting. I wouldn't know if she found the text or if he told her, but I feel like she would have found it, which is worse in itself because she clearly had a gut feeling that something wasn't right. Like, I would be pissed off. I'd be keying his car. What mine would say
you
is...
drive that car?
What... Not my car. What I'd be saying is, am I the arsehole for keying my boyfriend's car? Keying my husband's car for texting other women. That's what my post would say.
And do you know what I think the problem is that I think you'd be surprised that actually the majority of men do that. Like, it's very rare.
Are trash. But so are women.
Yeah. Women
People are trash.
Everyone is trash.
I'm not trash.
But at the end of the day, I think the problem is obviously the boundary being crossed. But then when she's found out about it, it's like gaslighting behaviour by being like, oh no, it's fine. Really, what he should have said is, do you know what? I'm really sorry. I should have actually come to you before.
Yeah, and said, oh, I want to literally text other women. It's like, it depends, because I know that, like, you say men are different, but obviously I think that's always shit, really, because you can emotionally cheat and then you can just cheat and be a scumbag, or don't cheat. Like, they're the three things. And do you think emotionally cheating is worse than actual cheating? Like, developing feelings for someone without actually doing anything?
The thing is with emotional cheating is I feel like for someone to do that, it's probably because there's something missing. It's not, I feel like when someone cheats, it's not because of their partner, it's because of something internally within themselves. I feel like that's where it comes from. The problem is, I feel like with emotional cheating, it's because of maybe they feel like they're not being fulfilled, or they feel like something lacking within themselves. Because I saw this thing before online and it actually made sense. And it said that, for example, if a guy is with a girl, but they feel like they're not good enough for the girl, they can be insecure within themselves. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but if you really think about it, if you feel like you're not on the same level as someone, then maybe you would start looking at people that you feel like you've got a chance with.
Like self-sabotaging.
Yeah, self-sabotage.
Even though they do have a chance with them because they are with them. I literally think that's a load of shit.
I literally
think that post was written by someone who wanted justification for why they did that.
But I feel like
Absolutely not. I think that, I get that, you might not feel like you are on the same level. That's so shit. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. They are literally just making up excuses. It's like when people say, oh, they're just picking on you because they like you. No, they're picking on you because they're a cunt. Like, they are. I'm sorry. Like, I do not. No. She's not the arsehole. He's the arsehole.
Obviously she's not the arsehole. I feel like that's what we need to make clear.
He is the arsehole.
She isn't the arsehole, but I just really find the minds, interesting, because there is a difference between men and women's minds.
Yeah, I get that. I get that to a degree of, they develop different. But at the end of the day, just don't put your dick where it don't belong, and don't text women that ain't your thing. If you're single, go off, do what you want within reason, consent, etc.
Oh, okay.
However, nah.
Yeah.
Piece of shit. She shouldn't even be writing fiance, ex-fiance.
I just feel like it might be worth exploring.
The thing is, you're on this new spiritual level shit of everyone is oh, brilliant, and everyone has a reason. No.
To be fair,
no.
I'm very open-minded to listening to people's perspectives, but then it's because I'm really into self-reflection and questioning why do we do certain things that we do. I'm not saying someone's right, someone's wrong. I'm just really interested in trying to actually see if there's a pattern.
Liam. Text other women.
Oh, I'll chop his head off.
Exactly. Thank you. So yours would say, am I the arsehole for committing murder?
But you know what? I'm actually I feel really different these days. Like before, I'd feel oh yeah, I'd be really angry and I'd punch him and all this stuff. But now I feel I'd want to be more elusive. If someone did me dirty, I'd be I'll just pack my things one day, not let them know, and I'll just leave, block them on everything, and then they'll spend all those years after never having closure and being she just left and I can never get in contact with her again. I feel that's more powerful.
See, I get that and I would try that, but then I still end up keying cunt into the car. I would love to be this higher being of I'm gonna just uplift, and yeah, it probably would drive them mad, but it would drive me mad.
Think about it, yeah. If you actually key their car or whatever, they're just gonna be oh, see, she's a crazy bitch.
Okay, I'm slashing 3 tyres.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, in the moment it might feel good for you to do that, but if anything, that's just gonna make them justify okay, yeah, see, she is a crazy bitch.
Okay, I hire someone to slash the 3 tyres. They see someone run off in a hoodie that doesn't resemble me. It'll be you.
Whereas what you've got to think about, generally, I'm speaking in very general terms though, guys, think about it, everything is to do with their ego. So when they're messaging girls and stuff like that, it's stroking their ego among other things.
Well, they're stroking other things.
But do you understand what I'm saying? So then for them to be completely left, no contact, imagine how frustrating it is that you will never be able to get in contact with the person and they've just left you one day. I feel that's a power move, and then I'm going to be in a whole country on a yacht shaking my ass.
We're not American.
I know, I hate the word ass as well. So
I hate the word ass.
Booty, baddie, bunda.
Anywho, not the arsehole.
But obviously, yeah, not the arsehole.
Cut him off.
Yeah.
Cut him, then cut him off. Now, this is a long one, but a juicy one.
Okay.
I'm female 49, and I've got a big problem with my daughter-in-law. She wrote big, B-I-G-G.
B-I-G.
G-G.
Notorious. Okay, sorry.
She did 4 capital G's. It's big.
Okay.
So a bit of background. Daughter-in-law and my son had been together a number of years. She was always okay, a good girl who was always polite and kind. And while she used to keep my son in check, which I didn't always agree with, we generally got along. I'm a mother of 3 sons. I always wanted a girl, but I didn't have one. So I thought I'd probably have a girl when I have a grandbaby. Right? Can we just circle back? I'll probably have a girl when I have a grandbaby.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not your girl.
It's not your gal. She got pregnant. She went weird when the baby was born, really possessive. I'd mentioned to her that my son should have his own time with the baby, and I tried to ask when the baby was born if me and my son could have some alone time. She went nuts at me, and from there our relationship changed. Long story short, over the last 3 years, our relationship has diminished to basically nothing. She has accused me of all sorts, and she really has come in between me and my grandbaby girl. Even the relationship between my son and I has suffered. First of all, I've got a lot more to read, but what do you think of that so far?
Like, I can imagine what the comments are going to be like. Because at the end of the day, what people need to realise is when a man and a woman come together and have a baby, that's their own family unit. They've just created a whole new family. And to think about it, if you've just had a baby, that baby, you're still getting to know the baby yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're still getting a whole new dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of feelings and hormones. And you want to protect that baby. So you have to wait a while before you want to swoop in, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to allow them to create their own bonds together. You can't be possessive because it's not your baby.
Mm-hmm. She has called me overbearing and disrespectful a number of times. For context, I jokingly make comments to my grandbaby who when told her mum and they were taken as serious. I explained this to the daughter-in-law and she ignored my explanation and the fact I was joking. It always sounds worse once repeated. She says I'm trying to come in between her and my grandbaby, which is ludicrous. So they have this big thing on gifts, and for me to not go overboard, as apparently they are trying to teach my grandbaby value, and I'm trying to constantly outdo them. Well, at Easter, instead of chocolate, I bought my grandbaby a ton of gifts. My thought process was, she can decide when I can or can't see her, but she can't tell me what to buy my grandbaby with my money. Right? I'm so fed up of them misinterpreting my actions as me being the bad guy. She has written this terribly, might I add. So she went nuts and said I always do this and she had enough. She has also got my son on her side and I've basically no contact with baby girl since Easter other than the occasional FaceTime, which by the way you are lucky to get if you are doing all this stuff. Over the years, I feel I've had to put up with a lot. I've never had a girl. I always wanted one and so badly wanted a close relationship with my grandbaby. But she stopped that and I turned my son against me in the process. My heart breaks when I see their Instagram happy life online and I'm not involved because of her. I'm posting and asking as my sister and husband say I need to bear some of the responsibility. And well, frankly, I don't. My son should never have turned his back on his mother. So tell me, am I the arsehole or is she for stopping the relationship between grandmother and grandchild?
Okay, so she's obviously the arsehole, and the problem is that she's actually got people around her that are trying to humble her. I tell her, you have to take some responsibility, and she's like, absolutely not. And the problem is, she is self-aware to some extent, because she knew beforehand they didn't want their baby to have all those gifts. And then she's gone, well, they can't tell me what to do. And then she's gone against it. And the problem is that isn't your baby. And what she doesn't understand is if she actually listened and respected how they wanted to parent their child, they probably would reach out to her more and invite her round more. But if you start getting someone's back up, you're going to literally be further down on the list. It's just how it is, because you don't want to feel uncomfortable in your own home with your own baby.
And the thing is, it's the spiral thing, isn't it? So one thing, she started off like, and also, why are you speaking bad about that mother to the baby? And I know she's saying like, oh, it was taken wrong, but I'm sorry, a child is a child. They repeat what they hear. Children have...
Isn't it interesting that she didn't repeat what that joke was?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was definitely something that was doing dirty to the mum. And at the end of the day, that baby, their mum is everything, right? Like, they are everything to that baby. And babies also just repeat random shit that they hear. That's why you got to be so careful anyway. But the fact that, you know, she's actively saying it to her, I'd love to know what it was said. And this woman hasn't taken her post down. Like, even though she was being slated in the comments, might I add, she hasn't taken it down at all. And I just think she just wants one person to be like, oh, and to be fair, there were some old ladies in there defending her. And you know that they're the same terrible mother-in-law that they're dealing with that shit. Like, yes, your child has had a child.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly that. It's not your child. And this is the thing. Some people are so desperate for certain genders of children that they literally go so overboard. They end up having like 7, 8, 9 kids, whatever. It's your choice if you can afford it, your life, whatever. But that isn't your baby at all. You have no right. And even like Leah, if I said to you with Luca, like, oh, I don't want you to do X, Y, and Z, you wouldn't go, well, it's my choice. I've got them. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just don't do it. You respect what the parents want. And like you say, then you get rewarded for doing that, because seeing them, just because you're a grandparent, don't give you the right to see them. Just because you're an auntie doesn't give you the right to see them. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's like, we've obviously got a very close relationship. I respect you as a mum, and I can see that you're doing a good job. Do you get what I'm saying? I think maybe that's what it is. Like, they're not around enough to see that actually she's already got it together. She knows what she's doing. So it's like, I can see what you're doing with Luca is working, and it's not even my place if it wasn't. Do you go? I could give you my opinion, but at the end of the day, like, it's not my child. Like, I can see that he's perfectly happy.
And the opinion is only if it's asked.
Yeah.
Like, the whole buying gift thing would really fuck me off. It would. Because, like, we've already spoke about with Luca, like, we don't want him to be spoiled. He's not going to go without. But I just think you don't need to be one of these parents that spend £1,000 at Christmas and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Also, with the gifts, it would have been a bit different if they hadn't already told her beforehand that they didn't want her to get loads of gifts. So if they didn't say that and then she got loads of gifts, you'd be like, oh my God. But you can't really say anything because you didn't tell her before. But if you've actually told somebody, look, we're just trying to like limit how much she gets, and then you go against it, it's literally just showing signs of like disrespect.
Toxic mother-in-law behaviour, which is what this is.
Yeah. And I feel like as well, it's because it changes the family dynamic. And it's one of those things that if you don't actually listen, that's the difference between listening to what somebody wants and then, you know, respecting them, and then just deciding like, nope, I'll do what I want. You can't do that in any situation, in any family dynamic. But when you have a baby as well, I feel like obviously mother-in-laws, anyone really, can get excited. Do you get what I'm saying? But I mean, like, with me, you and Luca, we come as a trio apparently. Like, obviously you trust me with him, and I try and do my best to follow what you want. I feel like it gets to the point now, whereas I don't even mind if I don't hold the baby. I don't get a choice. I try to give the baby back. 2 minutes later, he's back in my arms.
That's because he loves you. He's like, Auntie Leah, Auntie Leah. But I just think it's different, right? Because if the mother-in-law didn't start off how she did, it wouldn't have escalated to this point. And if she actually just had an open mind and took some responsibility and be like, actually, Joe, it's not my baby. The whole crux of this is that she wanted a girl. She never got a girl. She's now living vicariously. Is it vicariously?
Yeah.
Through her grandchild.
Also, I think it's worth noting as well is that mother-in-laws generally always have this problem. Like, whenever I've seen it online and stuff, it's a common thing that I always see. But there is a difference because, unfortunately, when you are the mother-in-law, you don't have a close relationship with your daughter-in-law as they would have with their own mother. So they might feel pushed out, but like, unfortunately, it's just the way it is because you feel more comfortable with your own mum or like your own side. Do you know what I'm saying?
Thing is, though, in the comments of that post, there were some people that were saying like how good of a relationship they have with their mother-in-law, and they were talking about it, and then others were saying, yeah, I have a really bad relationship with my mother-in-law, and I'm going to use that to them when my child has a child. I will break that generational like issue.
Yeah.
So I do think us as a generation and below, we are literally taking all the previous shit and like stopping it with us.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like the next 50, 60, 70 years how that changes and if it is as bad.
And to be honest, I feel like there's a way that you can resolve certain situations. I feel like being really open and honest and talking it through is a good thing to do, but you can only really fix that if both sides are willing to listen to each other and then try and resolve it. But obviously the daughter-in-law has been really open, has told the mother-in-law numerous times, but she doesn't want to listen. And it's not even about having an argument, but you literally can't move on if one side isn't willing to compromise.
100%.
And when it comes to somebody's baby, there's no like compromise there.
No, literally they won't win. And the thing is I don't like is that she was like, she's turned my son against me. No. Your son has seen how toxic you are being and has decided to like, no, I can see this and I'm going to side with my wife because my wife is right in the situation, and not just like side with the mum just because it's the mum. That really like would, if that was written differently, I'd be like, divorce him. Divorce him. But no, the mother-in-law is the asshole. She's not the asshole. No. Yeah, the mother-in-law who wrote that is the asshole.
The mother-in-law's the a-hole.
Now, this one is kind of sad. Would I be the asshole? When my father died, I wasn't there, so I went to his funeral. When my mother died, I was there, so I didn't go to the funeral. I believe funerals are for saying goodbye. I had already said goodbye to her when she passed, but my family think I'm a piece of shit because I didn't go to the funeral. So am I the arsehole?
No. I actually don't think that they are the arsehole, because a funeral is like a formality. And I mean, it depends. If there's other siblings there that could also make sure that the mum had a good send-off, then I'd say fair play. But when you're in that situation, it's very, very traumatizing. I mean, when we lost Dad, I did the whole service from start to finish, even though I'd never conducted a funeral before. But that's because I felt it so strong within myself that I had to make sure that I represented him as well as I could. And I didn't feel like anyone could do that.
I definitely couldn't I would have, you were so strong, and I will literally be in awe of you forever for that. Like, I said something up there with Luca, and like, I watching back, because we have a recording of it, because that's a thing now, supposedly, like, you get it on a memory stick. It's super weird. To actually, you were up there with such chest. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but like, you did that so proud, like, so proud. And we were actually there to say goodbye to him as well in the hospital. Like, I'd just been sliced open from a C-section. 4 days later, we were up the hospital, and I was there when Dad took his last breath, and I still felt like I needed to say goodbye at the funeral, because like, to me, like, it didn't happen. I couldn't process all the trauma, but I could understand why someone would be like, no, I've said my piece, because some funerals are really traumatic as well, like, especially if they've like open caskets and stuff. Like, I personally wouldn't be able to, like, I didn't go and see Dad in the funeral home afterwards, because to me, I was like, I can't have that as like a lasting memory. But I don't think they're a piece of shit, because people do things differently. Different cultures do deal with death differently as well. And like, I just think we didn't even do like order of services. Like, we had like a party for our dad because that's what he wanted. And people would look at that and say that we're weird and that. Like, when we told people not to wear black, oh my God, the reactions we got. They were like, well, I don't feel comfortable. Okay, well, don't come. Don't come then. But that was like what our dad wanted. So even like that, people probably thought that we were fucking weird.
That's the thing. So I was wearing a bright pink suit with like fresh Air Forces, because at the end of the day, I feel like that actually made the funeral enjoyable. That sounds like such a weird way to say that you can enjoy a funeral, but I've been to so many funerals, and funerals are normally rushed and they're very normally like downtrodden. But actually,
do you know what they remind me of?
What?
Mothballs.
Okay.
Because I just see like the dark crematoriums and stuff. Like, they really freak me out.
The thing is as well with funerals is that there's so many people dying that it's literally like an in and out situation. They're very quick. They're not very emotional. Whereas with Dad's one, we had loads of time. There was no rushing. It was a nice venue we were at. And when I wrote the whole like Dad's service, I wanted it to capture the person that he was, and like some really good elements where people could smile and be like, yeah, that was definitely him. Whereas a lot of funerals are very factual and very like, They was born in London. They had 3 children. But if you're attending that funeral, you already know those facts. That's not capturing the person. And I feel like I had to do Dad justice. And don't get me wrong, before then, I felt really sick. I felt really stressed.
She was taking alcohol shots in the morning.
But then when I actually got there, I was like, Leah, you have to do this now. And once I started going, I actually felt all right, because I actually felt like Dad was up there with me, because I could hear his voice in my head.
Technically, he was in the box.
But you know what? I was next to Dad's casket the whole time. I had no association. I was completely dissociated. And to be honest, I feel like a part of it, I actually forgot I was at Dad's funeral, and I feel like that's why I could do it so well. But I felt like I had to do him justice. When I was up there, I could literally hear Dad's voice saying to me, Leah, if you've got to do it anyway, you might as well do it with confidence. So I literally took a breath, and I was like, I looked out to the crowd, I could see you, everyone was crying and had tears in their eyes, and I was just up there smiling like, it's showtime.
Yeah, I get the whole dissociation from the coffin. I literally started crying when I got there, and then Luca was crying. I was like, Luca, you have to stop crying. You didn't know him that well, mate. It was 4 days.
That's harsh. That's harsh.
I know.
That is dark humour.
But this is our humour, right? I remember thinking, during my speech, how many laughs am I going to get? Because I was afraid joke after joke. Because that's just how our dad was. So I can understand I feel like if Dad's funeral was a funeral like the dusty mothball ones that I imagine, I don't think I'd want to go either, because I said goodbye in the hospital and I still feel like I didn't say goodbye enough. But I could understand, by me saying goodbye, I could have... the funeral was so far away that I feel like I didn't get closure for a very long time. Whereas if you're at peace, then yeah, go all. I don't think they're the arsehole at all.
And the thing is, we don't know, did she actually help plan a lot of the funeral, but she didn't actually just turn up to the day? Because at the end of it, you have to look after your mental health. Mm-hmm. And you might think that she's the arsehole for her not attending, but actually she said that she was there for her mum when she was alive, and that's what counts. Because unfortunately, when that person's dead, they don't actually know, and I'm sure that their parent would want them to do what's going to make them feel better, because it's a really hard time to go through. And I feel like family members having a go at her and calling her names and acting like she's a horrible person, that's actually really disgusting of them.
I think that's worse. I do think that I think they are the piece of shits. At the end of the day, I was thinking about this the other day, when I die, which won't be for a very long time, but when that happens, I don't want anyone to see me in the funeral home. And that's kind of like a standard thing that people do now. But 100% staple that fucking shit shut. No one see me.
Well, I'm hoping they're going to use more than a bloody stapler, Sophie.
Who knows? I might be buried in soil. I don't know. Become a tree. Not sure yet. But I don't want anyone to see me. And people might think that's weird. But I just think there's so many old hat traditions that, why are they there? Why do we need to do that? Let's be happy, celebrate the life. So you're not the arsehole. I'm really sorry you're going through that if you actually end up finding this. But I feel like it's a really important message, because obviously we've been through something, quite a significant death of a parent, which is different to other deaths that we've been through. And we're going to touch on that more, because I do want to do a spiritual one as well of these.
Yeah, that'd be a really good episode, actually.
I hope so. We're going to talk about a lot of hospice care and a lot of the stuff that people saw in stories from hospice nurses. But right now we're on Am I the Arsehole, so I don't want to go too much into that. So, am I the arsehole for breaking my sister's engagement? My sister, 29, recently got engaged to the love of her life. I'll call him Derek. They've been dating for about 1.5 years, and we, the family, have gotten to know Derek since the beginning of this year. We all love Derek, especially my dad and I. We watch Formula 1 every weekend together with the rest of our friends. The engagement was announced about 3 weeks ago. We were all obviously excited. 2 weeks ago at the last GP, I was talking to Derek, and at some point, reason I might be an arsehole, my mind slipped and I said something along the lines of, "It's great you found someone you love so much you would abandon having children." Sadly, my sister had to fight a battle with ovarian cancer when she was 16-17, which resulted in the surgical removal of her ovaries and, from what I understand, part of her uterus. Now, I didn't think much about my comment, but turns out she never discussed this with him. It was like I dropped a nuclear bomb of information. He said now it made sense why she's always avoided discussing about children. Well, needless to say, the engagement broke and they've now separated, and in the eyes of my sister and mother, I'm the arsehole who separated my sister from the love of her life.
He's not the arsehole. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, even the way he phrased it was weird. But at the end of the day, she should have been honest with him. I can understand that to a certain degree she didn't want to be honest because maybe she thought, if I tell him, then he'll leave me. But unfortunately, when you're in a relationship, something like children is a very, very big factor.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's really sad that she had to go through something so horrible. But at the end of the day, you do owe that person the right to, you know, decide.
This is the thing, right? So you've got a few things. This guy isn't the a-hole, but he kind of sucks for bringing it up in that way. Like, it's great you found someone you love so much you'd abandon having children. Like, abandon having children. First of all, you can adopt. You can find a surrogate. There's many other ways for you to technically have a child. But I don't really like how he said that. And it's a bit of a weird thing to bring up during the Grand Prix. So, like, you know, he obviously wasn't thinking, but not his place to say. The sister, as sorry as I am that you've been through this, because that must be so traumatic after going through a family member, countless family members having cancer. It's a horrible, horrible, disgusting thing to ever go through. But you still kind of suck for not telling Derek, because that is such a life-changing thing. Like, they've been together like a year, and the fact she's avoided having the conversation, I think it must be so triggering for her, because by the sounds of it, she probably did want children, but you can't not say that information. That is, you know, a lot of information. And then Derek is an arsehole. The other two suck, but Derek is the arsehole. I get the reason he left, because he obviously probably felt lied to and stuff. But if you truly love someone...
No, I don't think he's the arsehole. I think I can understand it from everybody's perspective, and I think in this situation, actually, no one is the arsehole.
Everyone sucks.
Because I understand why she kind of delayed telling him, because maybe in her mind, she was thinking, like, if he gets too deep into this relationship, then maybe he'll be more open to, you know, other ways of having a child. But at the same time, like, obviously he's going to feel very betrayed. And at the end of the day, like, brutal honesty is the best honesty, even though it can be really hard and really horrible.
Do you mean policy?
No. Brutal honesty is, like, the way forward.
Oh, the best honesty. I thought you just repeated it twice for no reason.
So I actually don't think anyone is the arsehole. Obviously, the brother slipped up. It was an accident. He probably didn't think about what he was saying. I can understand. I can sympathise why she didn't tell him, but obviously she should have. And he does have the right to walk away. And this is the thing, is at the end of the day, we have one very short life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's so much judgment on if someone does the right or wrong thing by someone else. But actually, you live with yourself at the end of the day. You're with yourself 24/7. And unfortunately, you might have to break some hearts in these situations. But if he doesn't feel like he can move on from the situation, it's not really fair on him just to stick by her, because she's been through something difficult.
But I feel like I would like to have known what his reaction would be if he knew from the get-go. Because I feel like for me, having children is a deal breaker. Like, because I wanted children. I want 3. I wanted 4, but after going for it once, maybe just 2 more. But even now, like, I'm having the conversation with James, because he's always wanted 2. I've always wanted 4. So you could say it's different, but kind of the same. Like, you know, if we then get to 2, and I'm like, I want another one. He's like, well, I told you I don't want 2. I can't really be surprised at the fact that he doesn't want another one.
This is a good example. So let's say that James knew from early on that he wouldn't be able to have children, and he didn't tell you. And then a year later, you accidentally find out, but you know that you definitely want children, and that would be a deal breaker for you. Are you really going to stay with him? Or are you going to be like, actually, that was a very big deal to me, especially because he would have known that you tried to bring it up numerous times?
Okay, I would have been angry. Like, I would have been angry, but I feel like you do need to see from the sister's perspective. She has been through one of the worst things someone could ever go through, ever. Like, ever, ever, ever. And I just think there are other ways. Okay, yeah, she doesn't have her uterus. She doesn't have what she needs to be able to have a child. But there are egg donors out there. So if he truly, truly, truly wanted a child, it would be different if she was like, I don't want children, I don't want this, I don't want that. If she was open to the conversation and was like, look, I understand you want children, I've had this happen to me, but I'm happy to go down the egg donor route, so they can have a surrogate, have an egg donor, and then he can technically carry on his line, or, you know, have a child that is biologically his and technically hers as well, because obviously I think it's like an adoption process or something at that point. I feel like that would be different. If he then said no to that and she said no to that, then that's different. I get it's probably such an abrupt thing and he's just acted out and like just broke it all off. But I feel like if they sat down, they probably still want the same thing. There's just a different way of doing it. And it's just about communication.
But my point is that he still has every right to make that decision. Just because he decides to walk away doesn't make him the arsehole in the situation. Because that's the crux of it. We're trying to find out, is he the arsehole? But actually, no, because he has every right. And if he felt lied to, regardless if she had a valid reason or not, being with someone for a year really isn't that long in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, I think everyone sucks. How about that one? Everyone sucks to some degree.
I feel like everyone had their reasons. No one's the arsehole. And it's just a very good learning point that in future, she needs to, going into future relationships, make it very clear from the get-go her situation.
100%. I think even when I first got with James, we were 18, and I was like, do you want kids? And he was like, yeah, I want kids. Okay, sweet. Done. Conversations had. And I think the fact that he's brought it up and she's like, it's obviously a trigger for her as well. Like, it wasn't by choice. She's had that taken out of her hands. And look how we're dealing with the trauma with Dadlia. It's not even on the same wavelength, and certain things are triggering me.
Yeah, it's triggering. But I think at the same time, you do have to... What's the word I want to use? You might have to cut this bit because I'm going to be...
I think I might cut some of the stuff I'll say as well, so don't worry.
Okay. Like, don't get me wrong, I completely understand that it's traumatizing for her, but actually maybe that this is a really good sign for her, that maybe she should consider going to therapy or counselling, because I think we go through very traumatic situations and we can be aware that, you know, it's triggering or traumatic, but then you do need to try and find help at the same time.
100%, yeah. I think communication is key. And I think understanding yourself as well. Because after, like, as you get older, right, you go through so many different things, so many life lessons. And really, you are constantly changing, and you need to, like, take a second to reflect as to who you are as a person as well. What you want from life. Things change, that's okay. But you're right, nothing really changed within the year. It was still the same from when she was 16, 17, and now she's 29. So, yeah. Derek, I don't think you're an arsehole anymore.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to end with a pervert.
Oh, cool. A little pervy perv.
A little pervy Pete. Am I the arsehole for calling my father-in-law a pervert?
Probably not.
I have a 7-month-old baby boy. I'm breastfeeding, but baby is currently weaning. I'm convinced that my father-in-law is being weird about my breastfeeding, and not in a that makes me feel uncomfortable kind of way. I made the baby popsicles for my boob milk a few months ago, and father-in-law put in the group chat that I'd love to try one of those, with a heart as eyes emoji. I said, what the fuck? They're made from my breast milk, and he said he didn't notice that caption. Today I baked the baby some muffins. It's a recipe that called for half a cup of breast milk, so I made them per the recipe. Father-in-law came over unannounced and said, oh yum, someone's been baking. So I told him, those muffins are for the baby, they're just fruit flour and breast milk. I have normal cake we can have. I then left the room to wash my hands, come back, and one of the muffins was missing. I asked my husband and he had no idea, so I asked my father-in-law and he said that he ate it. I said that's disgusting. I told him they were the babies and contained breast milk. He doubled down and said it's okay because breast milk is vegan. Note, no one in the story is vegan. I told him he's a creepy pervert and to get the fuck out my house. Husband is baffled by the whole thing and was convinced it was a misunderstanding, even though I explicitly said that they're made with breast milk. Father-in-law said I'm a dick because I made loads and the baby wouldn't miss out. Mother-in-law was blowing up my phone until I asked her if she was really okay with father-in-law drinking milk that came directly from my breast, and I think she didn't get the whole story. My sister says it's fucking gross and father-in-law is a weirdo. But here's the update. I asked my husband what he thought I was mad about. He was in the room but on the other side and occupied with the baby. He said he didn't realise that his dad actually ate the muffin. He thought I was pissed because he was messing with them. He also didn't remember the group chat incident but agreed that both incidents together is creepy. I called mother-in-law to clear the air and she revealed that father-in-law has always been very interested in lactation and she actually only fed husband for 4 months and always locked behind a door. So not her husband, fed the poster's husband, the OP's husband.
Oh, okay.
The son.
Okay.
Just to clarify, she wasn't breastfeeding her husband, although people do that supposedly. Apparently, he moved jobs after a woman complained that he kept intruding on her pumping in a designated space in the office.
He's a pervert.
I've told them father-in-law is not welcome around me and has asked for a key to our house back. I shared the concerns about him tampering with my milk and contaminating it, and also said that if his own wife wanted him locked out, then I'm entitled to do that too. The comment that hit my husband was the one about father-in-law getting off for years on the memory of eating the gross ass baby muffin. Husband said he won't be able to look father-in-law in the eyes again.
Yeah, he's obviously a pervert because he's had a pattern. Guy, it's not like that it was just the one isolated incident. It's a clear... Oh, I don't even want to think.
Do you know what's weird though?
No. Why is my mind so dirty? I already... Damn it! Damn it! Oh.
Do you know what's weird though? When you're actually like first beginning like lactating, if you will.
I've never seen Sophie's nipples so much in my life.
We had to squirt it on the toe. He had an ingrown toenail. But people want to try your breast milk. I had a few people say about it and I don't get it.
Like, I think it'd be funny to watch someone try somebody else's because, like, their expressions and their reactions, I think it'd be funny, like, in that way, but not actually, like, I want to taste you.
Leah, do you remember when I wiped my breast milk on your face?
Oh my god, yeah, that was disgusting. There's absolutely no consent there.
But at the end of the day, the father-in-law is a massive creepo. The fact that the wife, like, the mother-in-law, felt like she had to lock herself behind a door while breastfeeding. Like, what was he doing? Like, I'm not even going to say it because I don't want those words to come out of my mouth. But in a way, I don't mean this to sound weird, and I might be taking this to another level. I probably am. I always do. But for the mother-in-law to feel like she had to lock her husband out, what was he doing in the presence, in the room? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that borders on a bit of, like, I don't want to say it, but you see where I'm going. I'm going to say by that face that you are. But I just think there's difference, right? Because if she was like, oh, I've made this muffin, you can try some.
It would have been different.
It would have been different. But the fact that he creepily has done it, like, when Dad was dying in hospital, I was like, Dad, if my breast milk can heal you, you're drinking it. Obviously, it would have been from a bottle. But, like, we never got that far. So
thanks for the clarification of that one. But no, he's got a pattern. It's not like it was a one-off. He literally, clearly has a weird fetish.
And people do. Like, people have, like... I didn't realise there was, like, a pregnancy fetish where, like, people love pregnant women.
There's a fetish for everything these days, I swear.
But I do think there is a line, and it does cross. It's, like, we actually, a couple of podcast episodes back, probably from last year, because it was that long ago we uploaded, there was one about a wife breastfeeding the husband. And, like, if both people consent, fine. But I think it's really different, like... If you think about your father-in-law just being like, yeah, just put that in a glass for me. I'll drink it with my cookies when I'm trying to go to sleep. It's just a bit weird, isn't it? And the fact that he nicked a muffin and he's contaminating stuff.
No, it's clearly because he gets turned on is the problem.
I don't want to know what he did at work, though.
I don't think we need to know.
Like, was he just, like, creeping over?
I don't think we need
Setting up cameras? We need details.
No, we don't.
Well, we hope you liked this episode. A good... classic to bring us back.
We're finally back.
We're back and we are going to upload every week, we promise. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, on TikTok.
All the places.
They're only socials. And YouTube. Please. But we hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you next time for 2
Candid.
Bye.